Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a 1v1 between Xfactorlive and Sashkorin on the map Moonshine Run. Now, as we wait for players to do their initial start positions, you can see this map's a little bit different than normal. There's a lot of metal to be had on this map. As we just quickly circle it out for you, as you can see, there's a group of 4 in all of these locations, which is a lot of metal to be had, just kind of leaving it around. And then there's also a free metal spawn there and a free metal spawn there. But as you can see, just so much metal to be had. They are only 1.5 metal, which then it also isn't a lot, but it all adds up. And with the sheer quantity of metal extractors here, it's no wonder Xfactor here in red starting off with a vehicle lab. Now, this is a little bit ballsy, going for a vehicle lab off of only 2 metal points. Because, as you can see here, he's massively stalling for metal at the moment. And this is going to put him behind a little bit. Whereas you can see Sashkorin here with 4 metal extractors. And he is about 24% through. Well, surprisingly enough, the engineer does come out first before Sashkorin's. But we're talking, what, a matter of maybe a second there? So, the plan of Xfactors hasn't really saved too much time. Technically, at this point in time, he has more metal extractors than Sashkorin. And you can see that here over in the advantage to metal income from Xfactor. Now, zooming out from this very quickly, what can we expect to see? Well, as you've noticed, there's no wind. So players are going to have to invest quite a lot into solar, which means there's a lot of metal to just kind of have to invest. However, solar you're able to reclaim and not lose any of the metal. So a big investment into advanced solars probably. And then a rapid change into Tech 2 is what I'm going to expect. Because all the metal that you've got stored around the factories is going to be able to just be sucked up and dumped straight into Tech 2. And yeah, that's what we expect to see. Both players have gone Cortex today, which gives them both the same options to units. So now it's just a matter of how you use them. Now, you may ask, why have both players gone vehicle? Well, that's also pretty straightforward here. This map, as you can see, is mostly flat. We select the transversability map here and zoom out. You can see that it's pretty much flat everywhere. There's tiny hills, but they aren't going to really accomplish much. And now Sashkorin having to defend this little output, and does it successfully. Both players just basically amassing scouts right now. Sashkorin pretty able to expand freely with his comm. Both players expanding with their comms at this point. Surprisingly, both players are not going like towards each other. They're just going back. When we zoom out here, you notice there are several sections of like big groups of metal extractors. Like, what's going on with that drawing there? But there's 5 metal extractors there, 5 here, and obviously mirrored there for players. Now I'm surprised that they're not prioritizing that 5 group. But saying that, you know, you've got 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. That's a lot better. Although this metal point in the middle of the 5 is a 3.3, which should be of higher value. But Probably the plan for Sashkorin here is he's just building a line of defense so you can't get scouts around the back. Then he'll probably have an engineer go back and start capping these while he moves his comm forward. A little bit of damage being done to the base of Sashkorin here. Nothing really to write home about, though. Sashkorin currently with some idle construction vehicles. Let's have a quick look at Xfactor. Xfactor has nowhere near the amount of build power that Sashkorin currently has. Xfactor really behind on build power, actually, if anything. So when we look at what's going on over here compared to here, so Sashkorin started here and has moved with his comm all the way down to here. Okay. And an engineer has taken this section. So you can see the difference there in terms of expansion between the two players. There's an extra 4 metal extractors here that Sashkorin has that Xfactor doesn't. However, this section here that's been taken by Xfactor is, you know, something that he has that Sash doesn't. So Xfactor deciding he's mostly going to use his commander in base here in order to
started.
Push out more units quicker. We had this discussion in the last video about like when's the best time to use your commander at home as opposed to spreading out. And this is another example of, you know, both players having different mindsets here. Xfactor wants more units out in the field, whereas Sashkorin just wants to spread out as quick as he can with his commander. And you can see that all of those construction vehicles that Sashkorin had are rapidly going out to build more construction turrets, build more economy, as well as expand out the back, while his commander is expanding forward. So currently, economy-wise, advantage to Sashkorin, but this is early days yet, so who knows. Now, this map is so large that it's very difficult for players to secure an area. We can see a radar, relatively badly placed radar there. Sash, you could have built it just up here, and it would have given you so much more vision. And not going for the construction vehicle here, instead going for the metal extractor. And both of those metal extractors will get destroyed. Xfactor doing a pretty good job at just harassing Sash at this point. And just look, this is where the power of the commander. Look at the army value number just going up and up, and look how many incisors there are. We've got minus the 4. We've got like what, 20 for Xfactor, and only, you know, 3 for Sashkorin. And then that's not including the ones going up to the commander right now. And problems are coming for Mr. Sashkorin, as there is not enough units in his command at the moment to deal with all of these. Bit of a mistake with this little group here, though, as they walk in between LLT and the armed metal extractor, taking a lot of free damage. But the one to worry about is probably this one here, and also the commander. Sashkorin's commander is okay there. But this is a lot of the expansion being killed here. But fortunately for Sashkorin here, he's able to amass enough of a defensive force here to stop that push any further. However, there is still this one incisor around the back that's just been constantly causing him pain. Ooh, and unfortunately for Sashkorin, he is not paying attention, and he may get this. He does get it just in time. Sashkorin's commander being a little bit idle right now. The most important thing is this fight, though, going on in the middle. Sashkorin with a decent amount of incisors. You can see at the moment the priority is just get units out in the field. He could prioritize switching over to like main vehicles instead, like tanks, but instead the speed and maneuverability of the incisors are a lot more interesting for both players right now. They need to be able to get round, flank, do all sorts of shenanigans. This one incisor from Sashkorin, though, has done a pretty good job at just causing some problems for Xfactor. Managed to get quite a few metal extractors. Well, 3 metal extractors for 1 incisor. That's a good trade. And Xfactor see the movement here. He can. This one well-placed radar gives him good vision, as well as this radar here. However, there's no coverage behind this hill. So if the units did move behind it, then they're pretty much invisible. And Sashkorin does not have the force to deal with that tank army right there. So now this is the issue for both players right now, is that as they approach the opponent's base, it's going to be hard for them to really deal with the opponent, because they're able to push out so many units in such a short span of time. And that's generally the defender's advantage, being able to defend with units freshly out your factory, meaning that you have that advantage when you're in your base. Now, this force was let through, and although there is a lot of incisors for Xfactor here, Sash will be able to get a decent amount of damage inflicted here, probably. Well, surprisingly, probably only able to get those 2 metal extractors. Going very well, though, right towards that construction vehicle. Oh, and the construction vehicle survives with literally 0 health. How? It must be like an integer of 0. So like 0.01 or something like that health remaining. Which is crazy. Another accidental lost construction vehicle that up here, though, in the middle. And we can see pressure being applied very strongly by Sashkorin here. In fact, he is doing so well on the economy side of things that he actually has an excess of metal right now that he is not able to do anything with. And with that, we see actually he's got a bot lab up, getting some res bots out. Meanwhile, Xfactor still just pushing out, well, actually switched over to brutes now instead of incisors. And Sash losing that assaulting force of incisors there, as he wasn't really paying attention to it. And that's a decent chunk of metal, though, to leave. 600 metal, not a lot, but still, you know, it's not a unsneezable amount. But this maybe becomes a slight problem now for Sash. He's really struggling with energy right now, not able to use the full force of his economy. And his army value, as you can see, is not looking very good right now. This huge line across the entire map of vehicles from Xfactor. And Sash is just trying to find a hole, but it's not looking good as the wave of red just comes over the entire map. And you can see that the bottom incisors here getting surrounded. The top has managed to survive fine. But Sash will need some brutes soon. Incisors will only do so much against all the brutes, and we can see actually a transition over there to brutes as well. This force of incisors in the middle is trying to run for its life. Though it was, but Sash has forgotten about it. There we go. Now I'm able to retreat it. This is a good harass now coming in from Sash. Again, doing what we say very strongly on the channel. Like, if you're in a 1v1, your job is to make the opponent react to you, and this is exactly what Sash is doing. Xfactor's trying to take the initiative, and Sash is like, nope, I want to play my game. You're going to react to me. And using this force here to harass and just cause problems, having Xfactor send units up to deal with that. Instead, now this army in the middle is holding strong. Although Sash probably at this point in time has more units. Focusing on this bottom section here. And the brutes versus brutes on top, doing a fairly good job. Unfortunately, this incisors are not able to even shoot anything, getting killed for free here. But as we can see, this little force along the north has done a tremendous job. And has taken out this entire north section on the map of metal extractors. The resbot's actually already here, as you can see in the bottom right of this shot. Resurrecting the armed metal extractors there. And unfortunately, all these resbots are now about to get killed. Oh. The micro actually pulls them out in time. Sash trying to get more metal extractors destroyed here, but with them all being armed metal extractors, it makes it extremely difficult for a small force to make too big of an impact. They do enough damage though, and the incisors are able to make a break through. But this middle section is looking a little bit precarious for Sash right now, as that is a large quantity of brutes for Xfactor. And we do see them massively being pumped out now. Look at this economy over here. 2 vehicle factories producing brutes. Churning them out at a rate unfathomable. Xfactor going for a slightly different approach here, with missile trucks being his bread and butter. And that's not a bad choice, as that gives a little bit of ranged peppering. Also gives him a defense against air. Wouldn't be surprising to see air from either player as an attempted bombing run here to kill some of that energy economy. But Sash is the only player here with resbots. So Sash really the only one that's able to successfully contest this reclaim field with 4K metal on the floor there. Now we did see Sash queuing up a Tech 2 vehicle lab. Whether he actually goes ahead with that. No, he has, yep. So as we guessed before, Sash probably going to want to buy a little time right now. Doesn't really want to go into a fight, as he's trying to get Tech 2 up and running. And we see that now as he actually falls back a little bit here rather than going in. There's a lot of tanks on the field now. And by the way, I don't know if you may have noticed on the map here, but there's this one construction bot or vehicle just slowly go around making armed metal extractors all the way around the top of the map where Sash had Xfactor had expanded to. And yeah, that'll be funny for when Xfactor finally goes up there and goes, oh, I can go and reclaim all that now. And here come the dangers of the Tech 2 transition, as X-Factor applying a lot of force. So many tanks streaming out from the base of X-Factor right now. Now, technically, Sash does not need to even transition to Tech 2 fully here. And by that, I mean tanks. He could just get the economy up and continue producing Tech 1. That way, he would outnumber his opponent. But the Tech 2 tanks are obviously superior to the brutes. And we do see Tigers now on the way forward. But just look how far back Sashkorin has been pushed due to that transition over to Tech 2. He has a significant economy advantage, Sashkorin. But just with sheer numbers, X-Factor is able to push right outside of the base now of Sashkorin. Now the question is this Tech 2 going to be able to pay off in terms of being able to defend? The biggest worry is probably up here. Tech 2 construction vehicle gets destroyed. That's a significant loss. But the res bots are already here. Now the question is, can Sash hold this res field and get some of these units back up? If he can get these units back up, that's going to turn massively in his favor. Instead, though, he looks like he's reclaiming everything with the idea of getting as many Tigers out as possible, as quick as possible. And we see Tigers do so well at killing these brutes. And it does look like Sash here able to hold on. This Tech 2 transition has done marvelous for him. Not only that, but these pounders here. Interesting choice, but what they're doing is actually applying a bunch of impulse damage to his opponent, stopping them moving. Now, whether that was his intention or whether he was doing it in case there was a bunch of incisors or grunts, who knows? Pounders are very, very slow, and we can see that now by how slow they are compared to these Tigers. And now the tables have turned. X-Factor with his own Tech 2 now built and Tigers coming out. Not only that, but we can see an aircraft lab with a bunch of shurikens being built right now. At this point in time, Sash does not have any air force or any air defense either. And now with both players having Tech 2, question is what is either player planning? That is slowly going to kill that brute. There we go. But realistically, as we zoom out on the map here, most of the map is owned by Sash. Sashkorin does have an economy advantage here. This middle is, like, obviously completely uncontested. But most of the map has metal extractors on by Sash. Not only that, but as note here quickly, is that you can see a huge force of units here with Sashkorin's commander going around and upgrading all of these metal extractors. The Tech 2 Air Lab also coming out from Sashkorin here as fighters being produced now. That's good timing. Very good timing. And this kind of shows the skill of these players. They both know kind of the rough timings where they know they need to kind of transition over to air. Get some, well, not fully transition, it's not really, but just invest into air. Because there was no way he got a Tech 2 Air Lab up in the time it took those shurikens to be built. You know, must have been working on that beforehand. And to be fair, Tech 2 constructors here, although they have less build power, they would be able to spread across this map pretty quickly and get Tech 2 up. Now, Sash calls in a bit of a problem for X-Factor here, as he's kind of trying to fight him on two fronts. This section on the top here and on the bottom. Does look like he... I was about to say it looks like X-Factor might have been sending some tanks up to deal with all this stuff up here, but no. And Sash, apparently unable to spend all his metal. He has so much metal income and not enough energy right now. Looks like he might need a second fusion, which he is just starting now. Surprisingly, as well as you know, not a single advanced solar to be seen from either player. Obviously, advanced solars do require energy, and that's probably why. But also no reclaiming of any of these solars yet either. Like, this is a lot of solars to have sat around. This construction vehicle also idled because he can't get to these 2 points. And right now, advantage Sashkorin. Don't know what his plan is. Is he building anything but air fighters? No bombers or anything just yet. It's only a matter of time though. X-Factor needs to be scaling his economy. X-Factor actually, and this is surprising, X-Factor with 2 Tech 2 factories rather than 1. I don't think he really has the metal to be building out 2, but as you do, I guess. Sashkorin also with 2, but Sashkorin, you know, with a huge amount of metal in the bank right now, then that's kind of fair. Sash also going for a tech-free lab. 26 minutes into this 1v1, and tech-free is starting production. To be fair, Sash has the excess metal right now. And we can see here Sash attempting to pull some forces off and cause some damage to the economy up the top here. This is the highest metal extractor on this north side, worth the same as 2 of these other ones. And just doing a little bit of damage up here is enough to just cause some problems. However, it has given, you know, X-Sector maybe a hint to kind of go around and take some of those out, but and X-Factor happy to cede this spot right now. X-Factor with significant energy problems, as you can see. He's trying to build fusions, anti-nuke. He's only got Tech 1 out. We actually do see him here reclaiming all of his solars. I mean, maybe when you're stalling on energy is probably not the best time to be reclaiming all of your solars. But at the same time, he does need metal. I probably would have maybe suggested stopping one of these factories for a bit to give you a bit more metal, or reclaiming one of them. Considering if you reclaim this, that's 2,800 metal. That would quite easily pay for the fusion. But because at the moment he doesn't have the metal income to pay for that. Finally, though, the metal extractors up here of Sashkorin's is getting taken out. These have been here for ages. And it's surprising that he's letting that go for so long, really. Pressure being applied now in multiple locations by Sashkorin, as he applies pressure in the bottom, in the middle here, and along the top. This northern force, I think, is going to be the force that gets the breakthrough, though, as not enough forces are there to defend. And the army of X-Factor that was at the north has been obliterated. Meanwhile, in the middle, the Tech 3 is about to arrive. And it wouldn't surprise me if as soon as Xfactor sees that Tech 3, he calls the GG, to be honest with you. He's trying to hold on. But how much he's going to be able to do is another question here. Also, you notice this push here in the middle. Uncontested push into the middle. Will be about to run into 2 Shivas. But this does seem like a last hurrah here from Xfactor as all of his units go piling into his opponent's base. And now he's like, nope. I'm out of here. And the superior fighter force also there goes to Sash. And with this force barreling down on his base, Xfactor calls the GG. And great game there. Sash did a tremendous job. The transition to Tech 2 was perfectly timed from his point. And he was able to just control so much of the map. And this map is very difficult with, you know, how much space there is on the map. And it's difficult for both players to, you know, be able to contest that. And we can see that in these graphs as the metals produced slowly start separating. And whoosh. Sashkorin able to get such a huge, and not only that, 7,000 metal excess at the end there from Xfactor. Huge amount of excess. Well, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.